So my name is Hassan Ellabban. I live in Cairo, Egypt, and I go to Cairo American College, or CAC. So my topic today that I'll be exploring is the remixing of Palestinian folklore songs. So my question is, how are Palestinian artists remixing old folk songs as a form of protest? So my presenter's promise is that I am not an expert, and please correct me, ask questions, and contribute, but do it nicely. And lastly, I'm not trying to persuade you of any agenda. Okay, so the outline of my presentation is that firstly, we're going to be looking at the background on Palestinian folklore music. So we're going to be kind of zooming out and just looking at the background. And then we're going to be diving into some specific examples. And then lastly, what is the big picture? What is the effect of all of this? So what led me to this? So the person you guys see on your screen, his name is Shab Jdid. He's quite a popular Palestinian musician or artist. And I started listening to him on a daily basis, and I fell in love, again with Palestinian rap music. And so then I just started exploring more and more Palestinian artists until I found another artist. His name was Kokyum. And then I noticed that Kokyum's music was kind of different than the rest of the music I was listening to in the lyrics and just everything about his songs. So I looked it up and I was like, why is this different? And then I noticed that there was actually a lot of articles talking about Kokyum and other many young Palestinian artists who are remixing or reusing folk songs, like very old Palestinian folk songs, and trying to make them resurface. So that was what kind of led me to this question. During the Ottoman rule in Palestine, which was a very long time ago, specifically from 1517 to 1917, so that lasted over 400 years. So yeah, songs during that period were again passed down from previous generations orally. And the melodies and rhythms were, although they were preserved a bit, but they also very much adapted over time because there was nothing, written or tangible, just all passed down. And the Palestinian music during that period of time kind of reflected the values that the previous generations believed in, since they were passed down. And the traditional Palestinian songs were very closely tied during that period of time, again, by aspects of the daily life and some special occasions. So again, one of the more important aspects of daily life work. So the farmers, music was a very big aspect during their work. So during the farmers' work, like when they were harvesting crops or weaving, they would sing together songs to accompany and kind of uplift their laborious tasks. And an interesting detail was these songs kind of served as a way to kind of synchronize their efforts and try to kind of create a sense of unity among all of the workers, to kind of, with the purpose of kind of motivating them. And in addition to the work songs, there are also songs associated with very specific events, like a wedding. So, for example, wedding songs played a very significant role in Palestinian and in the traditional weddings in Palestine during that period of time, with different songs being sung during different periods of the stage or stages of the ceremony. And these songs kind of express joy, love, and blessings. And one important fact about music during that time is that the lyrics of the traditional Palestinian songs were not always fixed, as I said, and which kind of meant that they were often improvised or adapted to suit kind of the occasion or the emotions of the person singing it. So if someone like a mad person was singing the song, or a happy person, or someone in work, they would all take different aspects kind of, or different routes. And then after the Ottoman rule, there was a British mandate, which was lasted from 1917 to 1948. And then we're going to skip to the Nakba, or the forced displacement, of the Palestinian homes from their landing during the establishment of Israel, which started in 1948. So songs post the Nakba, or the establishment of Israel. So yeah, after that, the Nakba, music turned to be more on a struggle, on struggle, exile, and homesickness, and obviously longing for freedom. And obviously a lot of the songs expressed, the pain and loss felt by the Palestinians who were forced to leave their homes. And these songs became a powerful means of kind of preserving their collective memory and, kind of conveying a deep sense of attachment to their land, especially by the ones who were forced out of their homes. And Palestinian folk songs also, or like songs in general, kind of became a form of resistance during that time, because again, the Palestinians were fighting a narrative that we don't exist, kind of. So it was important, to say that, no, we have a history, and, these songs that are hundreds of years old kind of represented that deep roots, and that, we did not come from nowhere. So it was very important to them to hold on to their culture and identity. And then so music during the first Intifada. So the Intifada means an uprising, and there are actually two Intifadas or uprising. First one being in December 1987, and it lasted until September 1993. And the second one being from 2000 to 2005. So the first Intifada, what it was a sustained series of protests, demonstrations, and acts of resistance carried out by the Palestinians in the territories of their territories and the Israeli territories. And it was motivated, of course, by, the collective Palestinian frustration over Israel's military occupation of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. So during the first Intifada, Palestinian music played a very significant role, again, in the resistance and political kind of activism, because the Palestinian musicians used their music to kind of express their opposition to the Israeli occupation, and with the purpose of trying to inspire others to join the resistance and try to, join as many people, get as many people to join the revolution kind of. So, and they also used their music to raise awareness of the occupation. So let's have a listen to what songs during that period kind of. So that was basically what the song would sound like during the first Intifada. So as you can see, they're very, very motivational kind of, and looking at the lyrics, they kind of said that, we are a generation of victory, we are winners, and we are the origin of this land. And then at the end, it said that, we are free. So again, it was very motivational and tried to, motivate everyone to fight against this war. So looking at the different types of the folk songs, so Zajal is one of the earliest forms of the Palestinian folk music, which originated, in the 10th century. And it's a type of oral poetry kind of. It's not really a song, but, again, it's a type of poetry, often performed at weddings, festivals, and social events. And it holds a very significant place in the Palestinian cultural identity. So I also have a very short clip to maybe see what that sounds like. So again, it's kind of not a song, but more a poetry type of, or poetry, yeah. And then secondly, we have the Ataba, or also known as Mijana. So that was that's the song sung by the farmers or workers that I talked about previously. And, they have a very lively rhythm, and they're kind of characterized by the repetitive and catchy melodies to kind of, again, as I said, synchronize these laborious tasks. Lastly, we have the Luna, with songs. So the type of songs which are traditional, and they're typically sung by women, and they often convey themes of love and loss and resilience. And so the Luna actually have a very distinct melodic structure, and, they're very known for their emotional depth. So then looking at some modern, very modern examples. So then the person you guys see that's Kukyum that I talked about at the beginning of the presentation. So this song is called Zaffet al-Tahrir, which kind of translates to wedding chant of liberation, because, Zaffa is the traditional wedding chant in the weddings. So it took the traditional, what Kukyum did was he took this traditional wedding chant and he kind of adapted it by changing the lyrics to kind of reflect the Palestinian struggle for liberation and, kind of the self-determination. And so usually in the Zaffa, like in the traditional Zaffa, the songs sung during that Zaffa again, or usually express, joy, love, and blessings for the newly married couple. Whereas in this song, he kind of changed the lyrics to make it, a call for the freedom of Palestine, which is again very different than what a traditional song in a Zaffa would say. So we can have a very quick listen. So first, I'm going to play a clip of what the traditional Zaffa sounds like. So yeah, then again, this is the traditional, the traditional Zaffa. And then when we look at Kukyum's, his song, his version.
وهي ما بدها خاتم ولا بهواها خاتم بدها علم فلسطيني رفرف على المحاكم.
Yeah, so obviously you can see, a very clear connection between the background music in his song and the Zaffa. He kind of obviously was greatly influenced by it. So let's look at kind of deeper into the lyrics. So the first lyric, هي ما بدها خاتم ولا بهواها خاتم بدها علم فلسطيني يرفرف على المحاكم. So again, what this translates to is she does not want a ring, nor does she desire a ring. She just wants to see Palestine's flag wave over the courts. And then the court, I think, kind of in my thinking, is a kind of a symbol of, authority of the Israeli authority. So again, she does not want the traditional gifts. She just wants to see Palestine's flag, kind of wave over the Israeli Authority. And then another lyric that translates to, she does not want a gift, nor does she desire a gift. She wants to see the Palestinian flag wave over the Meskubiya prison. So Meskubiya prison is an Israeli prison in Jerusalem, which detains or holds like many innocent Palestinian prisoners, and they are treated very horrifically. So again, she does not want these gifts. She wants something different to see, Palestine free kind of this terrorizer. And then looking at the last lyric, which translates to I don't want a zeffa, again, which is the traditional wedding celebration. I want the country to be liberated from the sea to the river. So, his desires are very different from what are the traditional desires of, the zeffa and the wedding gifts and all this. He just wants to see his land free of the occupation. And then looking at another song by Kokim again, which is titled Yara Hin Quds, which translates to all those who are going to Jerusalem. So again, this song is actually a remix of the original folk song Yara Hin Quds. So that's the title of a very old and very famous traditional folk song. And so in the folk song version, it talks about the Palestinians and the diaspora, where the ones who were kind of displaced and are originally from Jerusalem. And the lyrics are about, the longing for Jerusalem and the pain of being separated from it. And the original song is a call for, to those who are leaving Jerusalem to remember the city and, to always return to it. So in the original version, again, the lyrics are very emotional and express the deep connection that Palestinians have to their land and their history. And then Kokyum changed the lyrics, but not much. Instead, he kind of referred to very specific places or iconic places, like, for example, a place called Stuh el Khan or Khan el Zayt. And he's very, very other like historical, like his shops and other like locations that people from Jerusalem who were forcefully kicked out can really, relate to. And then he said even that when the song came out, he received a ton of messages from Palestinians that had to leave Jerusalem who like very much appreciated the song and that it reminded them of the narrow, alleys of Jerusalem and kind of like evoked very nostalgic feelings. And in the presentation, you can see kind of what nostalgic images can be kind of seen. Yeah. And then the last song or band that I would be talking about, so Electrosteen, it's a project or a band which began in 2017, and in one of their albums, it's basically a merge of the Palestinian folk music with modern electric sound. So the musicians which started the band were actually given access to an audio library owned by the Popular Arts Center of Ramallah, a place in Palestine. And they collected music from already existing archives from that audio library. And so that was the one way they made their music. And the other way was by recording professional or amateur urban, rural Palestinian musicians. So again, this goes to kind of remind the world that Palestine has deep old roots again. So what is the big idea behind all of this? So again, the people, like the artists are trying to, again, Palestinians, a large portion of the history have been, fighting this narrative that we don't exist. And, the attempt to erase Palestinian history obviously would be very much harder when, these hundreds or thousands of year old songs are kind of resurfacing and being remixed to kind of remind everyone like, oh no, we have a very deep history. And that, the songs kind of communicate again that we have very deep roots and that, we're not going anywhere. So yeah, thank you very much. And sorry for the technical difficulties, but yeah, thank you very much for your patience and time.